Boychuk to center point, skates the line, switches places with Letty. 10 on the power play. Boychuk shovels it behind the net for Strome. Strome in the left wing corner. Carries to the half wall. Above the left circle. Tavares right dot. Fakes the shot. Comes into the slot. Shoots. They score! The Islanders win it in overtime. 3-2 is the final. And they are mobbing John Tavares in the high slot. Right wing for John Tavares, too far out in front of him. And now Tavares with pressure on Mark Stahl calls a turnover. Okposo shoots and scores! Kyle Okposo's 100th goal in the NHL gives the Islanders their first lead of the night. 3-2 in the opening minute of period 3.
All your New York Islanders news and expert Islanders analysis from the fourth line in Bridgeport to the first line in Long Island. This is the Dump and Chase Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dump and Chase Podcast. As always, I am Shane Blackburn, who you could follow. At this point, I'm not even going to promote the personal one. At this point, you could just follow me at Dump and Chase 80, which is the Dump and Chase Podcast's Twitter. Alongside me, as always, tonight is Andy Graziano. You could follow him at Tasman19, and Rich Diaz Rodriguez, who you could follow at RDNHL, who's sending us messages in the chat, which is what, screwed up my thought here. You're killing me, Smalls. But we are back. Happy New Year to everybody, including the two guys with me, but especially all of the listeners and readers of the Dump and Chase Podcast and Islanders Insight, which, by the way, I know I've been slacking in the writing department, but I got something coming within the next 2 weeks, so be ready for it.
Okay.
The two guys there yelling at me all the time. I'm late to the podcast. I'm slacking on my writing.
It's all right.
I'm falling apart here, kind of like a particular hockey team that plays on Long Island.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's not how I'm going to start. Don't worry.
You already did. It's too late. Let's do this.
I'm just kidding.
Drop the gloves. That's the 2-minute penalty. Get it?
We are back, and I do hope everybody enjoyed their new year. I hope you guys had a safe and happy new year.
Yes, I did. Thank you. I hope you guys did too.
And Andy, just sitting in the background quiet.
What?
How was yours?
What?
Your year of newness.
My newness year has been full of newness and excitement and anticipation as I wait for more newness to come my way. I like newness.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the Islanders then. I honestly, I don't even know where to start right now.
Can I help you? All right, I'll help you. Let me help you. Let me help you. Tied for the Metro Division, 53 points with Pittsburgh. The best season they've had in 4 years. Everybody take a breath.
No, they suck. Blow the team up.
Let's just blow it up. Yeah, let's fire Capuano because why not?
Let's talk about the main issue that the Islanders are having right now. Because if you could point to one issue that has led to both of the losses that we just watched, the loss in Edmonton and then the loss in Vancouver. The one thing I point to, and the one place they've struggled all year, even throughout all of their wins, the one place they've struggled all year has been turnovers.
Okay, I mean,
front to back, top to bottom, forward, defense, superstar, or sixth defenseman. It doesn't matter. There is not a single Islander on this team who can say they haven't consistently turned the puck over game in and game out, even when we're winning. So I don't want to harp on the negative because we are still tied for first in the Metropolitan Division. Like you said, Rich, the best season we've had in years, one of the best seasons I can remember, period, being a younger Islander fan. But game in and game out, even when we're winning, this team struggles with turnovers.
You know, it's funny, and I'll let Andy go into this. I just wanted to mention that when you said everyone on his team, I was like, wait, Halak? Oh, yeah, he did. That's really...
Yeah, he did. Even the goalies have turnovers.
You can break this team down in a number of ways, and I see it on both fronts, to be honest with you. I don't partake in the social media bashing and the glee that some seem to take in this team not doing well. And I'm also not overconfident at the same time. I think I said it a couple of shows ago that, you have to maintain a kind of a sense of realism, right? I mean, to not expect regression after playing 700% hockey was just being naive, in my opinion.
Yeah, but there's a difference between regression and the way they've lost these past 2 games.
2 games, but it's 2 games. It's not 6. It's not 8. Let's see if this hopefully doesn't spiral into one of those 6 or 8 game streaks that we've seen in the past. But let's just break down real quickly some analytic numbers, okay? Wins tied for first in the NHL with some really good hockey clubs: Montreal, Anaheim, Nashville, Tampa Bay, and Chicago with 26. Okay, they're one of only 2 teams. Oh no, I'm sorry. I apologize about the 2-team thing. Corsi for percentage, which is a possession metric, 5th in the NHL, behind Chicago, LA, Tampa, and Detroit. Fenwick, 3rd in the NHL, behind Chicago and Tampa Bay. Save percentage is kind of they're 5th from the bottom, only better than Arizona, Dallas, Edmonton, and Minnesota, but a lot of that has to do with Chad Johnson. The league save percentage average is a .917, which is right where Yaroslav Halak is. And PDO, which is a luck advanced statistic, shows that only 3 teams have been more unlucky than the Islanders so far this year. That's Edmonton, Arizona, and Carolina, the average being
Phoenix,
1.
please?
What?
Can we call them Phoenix, please?
No, we can't.
The average PDO being 1 on the button, and PDO, for those that don't know, is the just basically adding shooting percentage and save percentage together, which advanced statistics say is a metric of luck. With the average being 1, the Islanders are at a .985, so they're still about 12 points below the average in terms of PDO. Now, you look at the bad stats, and that's obviously the power play, which is still struggling. I don't care what their rank is. It's struggling in crucial situations. The penalty kill, which has been much better lately, is still ranked toward the bottom of the league. To Shane's point, they are 6th in the NHL in giveaways with 391.
Meaning sixth worst, right? Not like
yes.
Sixth
The only
best?
teams,
Okay.
the only teams with more giveaways than the Islanders are Edmonton, Calgary, San Jose, Los Angeles. A couple of surprise teams in there. Dallas, and then the Islanders are 6th.
Well, not really surprise teams, because even though they give the puck away, and the same thing for the Islanders, giveaways aren't automatic goals this year because of Halak, and
but
the same
now-
thing could be said for the Kings because of Quick.
The Islanders are also, though, 5th in the league in takeaways. So whether you believe that's an accurate stat or not, I don't believe it is. The official NHL stat for giveaways and takeaways, to me, has always been skewed.
Yep. I just go by the eye test when it comes to turnover.
They're 23rd in face-offs at 48.3%. Teams
But
worse than the Islanders at winning draws are Vancouver, New Jersey, Nashville, Ottawa, Calgary, the Rangers, who are second to last in face-off percentage, and Buffalo, who is last.
Well, then
So-
it makes sense that we beat Vancouver last night in faceoffs.
But there is, I agree, Shane, some alarming trends that are rearing their ugly heads. We saw the 3-goal leads blown in December. We saw them roll into January. And look, you could take, you can go 2-2 on a Western Canada road trip and say that's what we expected, and that's not bad. Or you can go by your philosophy and say, well, the way they lost those 2 games to Edmonton and Vancouver in terms of effort and lack thereof, is probably more alarming to you than the fact that they went 2-2 on what's a very tough, physically and mentally grueling trip. Let's not take anything away from that.
I won't, but if I didn't see either game, and let's say I was out of the country, and I came home and I saw 2-2 on this road trip, I'd be like, oh, okay, sweet, 2-2, we're fine. But I wasn't out of the country, and I watched both of the games. And it wasn't that we lost. I don't mind. Think about when the Islanders were horrendous, 364 days ago. And we would sneak a win against an LA or a Chicago. We beat Chicago last year.
Yes, we did.
Good teams lose to bad teams. That's what makes the NHL what it is. I will never be mad at the Islanders for getting beat. I get mad when the Islanders lose. Because they didn't get beat last night, and they didn't get beat against Edmonton. They handed those games to both of those teams.
I agree.
You sound a lot like my father. He used to say, I don't mind if you fail a class so long as you tried. But he still looked pretty damn pissed either way.
Damn, I wish my father would have said that.
I tell my boys all the time, though. I tell my boys all the time, I will never punish you guys for being beat, but not for lack of trying. I will never punish you because we lost the game 5-4 because one bounce went the wrong way.
Okay.
But I'll punish you if we lose 4-0 because you got beat to every loose puck. You didn't win battles in the corners. You didn't make good passes. That's when you skate. But if you get beat, I don't mind it. It's when you lose is when I'm mad.
All right, well, let me ask you a question then. Let's discuss this round table, because this, I feel, has been something that's been gnawing at me like a rat on my shoulder.
A rat on the shoulder.
A rat on my shoulder, and the way they gnaw, with the teeth and the claws. Anyway, I've always been that kind of guy, and maybe this is because I coached for a long, long time, for 13 years to be exact. I've always been the kind of observer of the game of hockey, as my primary responsibility has always been to point the finger at the players. They're the ones that have to play. They're the ones that are on the ice. You can't point to a system that had the Islanders at 26-11-1 prior to these 2 losses. You can't point to that record and say the system's not working.
Exactly.
So I think this is, today there was an article that came out. The Hockey News was giving out their mid-season awards, and one of the finalists that they think should be in the running for the Jack Adams Award as Coach of the Year was Jack Capuano.
Absolutely.
This is where Capuano just cannot win, right? I mean, these last 2 losses, he gets absolutely roasted, and he doesn't get any credit for the 26-11-1 start prior to that. And, again, maybe it's because I coached, maybe it's just because I'm kind of a little more level-headed than maybe some others, but I don't see this as being obviously he takes some of the blame. He's the head coach. He has to. But I don't see this being primarily a Capuano issue, in my opinion, these last 2 losses.
I read an article last week about this, and about how we as Islander fans, if you will, have to kind of change our perspective. That if we are planning to move forward along with this team, the way in which we ingest this team day in and day out has to also kind of progress along with this team. I think that if you are viewing this team with dour, sour eyes, you're going to miss the big picture that is unfolding, which is 26-13-1 first in the Metro. Things that we would have begged for at this point last year, like Shane, you just said. These are things that we're not being euphemistic, ladies and gentlemen, by saying that Capuano is doing a great job and that he is, you are your record. Okay, that's what they always say in sports. You are what your record says you are. And Capuano is 26-13-1, tied with the Pittsburgh Penguins, a powerhouse organization with lots of money, when you consider who the Islanders are in the grand scheme of things, this is a coup. This season is a coup. If it were to end like this today, I would be completely satisfied, because Garth Snow did his job. Capuano, the fans, where do you stand in all of this? You still want to be upset at Capuano because of what he did 2 years ago, or what you felt he did 3 years ago? No, you got to let it go. You got to evolve with the team. Now, hold on.
Okay.
To your point, Shane, about these last 2 losses, let's talk about this, and let's bring this vehemence to the table when it's 7-8 games.
Right.
Okay?
No, I'm gonna do it right now because
of course you
because well, first I need to defend myself.
Oh, no one's attacking you, sir.
No, but I'm gonna defend myself because the things I'm going to say right now about Capuano, I said after Game 5 when we were 4-1.
4-1.
I don't care what our record was. And I won't even call them complaints. The areas I think Capuano can grow and improve as a coach are the same whether we're 26-11 or 11-26.
Break it down like a fraction for me. Tell me what it is.
Break it down.
One is blaring, and that is his inability to adapt on the fly in a game.
Wait a minute.
Okay, so wait, hold on. So you're saying the guy that changes lines at the end of the first period when things aren't going well is a guy who shows an inability to adapt in game?
Yes, because he doesn't do it right.
What?
Look at the defense. Look at the defense. You can't tell me that Donovan and Hickey should have seen the ice together at all after their first
Hold
shift.
on. The only mistake he made, in all honesty, with that pairing was he had them on the wrong side. Matt Donovan has showed success on the right side, not the left, and vice
even
versa.
Even if they were playing their right side, the minute they got torched,
you don't know that. You don't know if they were playing. Look, there's a comfort level that every player has, and Shane, I'm surprised as a former player for a long time and a good one.
No, I agree that there's
a certain position
comfort
that you're comfortable in. That'd be like saying if your coach magically just said, you know what, we're short of D, Blackburn, you're playing defense tonight. You wouldn't be comfortable with that.
No, I agree 100% that there's comfort. But after that first shift, first of all, before the game, I didn't get a chance to tweet it out, but it would have been the same tweet I tweeted the first time Hickey and Donovan were a pair.
Okay.
Before the game, that should never have been a pair.
All right.
We have 3 solid defensemen in Leddy, Boychuk, and Hamonic. There is no reason to waste 2 of them with each other in a game like this when Wisnowski's out.
That's a valid point. I still like Dono with DeHaan all the time.
No, well, yes, but not now because DeHaan has been unarguably our worst of the regular 6 defensemen.
Yeah, I've said that a couple times prior too. I don't like his game this year either right now.
I would rather have seen Hamonic start the game with Hickey. You have Boychuk. Hamonic with DeHaan. You have Boychuk with Hickey, and you have Leddy play with DeHaan.
Okay. With Donovan, rather.
With Donovan, Donovan. Because in my opinion, Leddy is our best defenseman right now, soundest defensively.
Yep.
And if Donovan did need someone to pick him up, and I won't even say he's not good, but when you come out when you're in and out of the lineup, you don't play for 20-something games, you play for 3, you miss another 10, you're gonna have rust.
Oh no, that's easy to do.
Okay, but hold on a second.
But
he should have been the best player on the ice, Shane.
As a coach, you have to know that this guy just came out of sitting in the press box for however many games. And you have to have him with someone who will make up for his mistakes.
I'll give you that.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on, Shane. If you rewind our podcast, not even 3 episodes ago, we all agreed that Hickey was one of those defensemen that was solid, dependable, and if I'm not mistaken, Scott Charles wrote an article 2 weeks ago.
Too offensive to play with someone like Matt Donovan who's been in and out of the lineup.
But what I'm saying is,
you can't afford to have someone who's going to just like the third goal. You can't
hold on. But my point is
trapped in the offensive zone.
Would you not say that Hickey's game last night was uncharacteristically poor for what he's given us this year?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, but hold on. To your point, you cannot pin that on Capuano. As far as
because Hickey's not veteran or prepared enough to play with a rookie like Matt Donovan.
Let me finish my point and see if you agree. If you are just going to bracket off Hickey of 2014-15, I would do it if I were Capuano. Why not?
I still wouldn't.
But why not? He's performing above the expectations. He's probably the one that... Hold on.
It's still 2 offensive defensemen, one of which is extremely rusty because he hasn't played.
Hold on. If you look, you got Boychuk, Leddy, top defenseman, the 2 best defensemen we have.
But hold on. Let me finish. There's no reason for them to play together.
Hold on a second. Hamonic has been in and out of the lineup because of injury. The 3rd most dependable defenseman we have is Thomas Hickey. Thomas Hickey, for me, before last night, was flawless. Flawless. So he has an off night, and it happens to be a very deplorable one, no doubt about it.
But it's not even that he had a bad night. It's the style of play that doesn't mesh with Donovan. Even if Donovan was in the lineup all year and was at the top of his game, that pair will never work.
But hold on. Let me just... Okay, so you're right on that. Absolutely. But that's not something that Capuano would have learned until it happened. So if he pairs...
I called it before the game.
Okay, but that's... But listen, Shane, if he does it again, then I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But I wouldn't...
Even if he needed the first 20 minutes, the second and third period, the pair should have been completely
wait a second, though. What makes Matt Donovan's game different than Lubomir Wisnowski's game?
The veteran presence and the fact that Wisnowski's played more than 6 games this year and isn't rusty.
He looked pretty rusty the last few games.
Yeah, he sure did.
Donovan should have been with either Leddy or Hamonic.
I agree with you, but after that.
I'm not going to argue that.
But that's something that only comes after seeing it.
But even if Capuano didn't make that decision in the first period, he should have made that decision going into the second and third.
All right, move on to your second point about Capuano.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. This is getting good. I like this.
My second point about Capuano And this one I'm still iffy on because there is an art to this, and that's when to use the timeout.
Oh, I knew.
I knew where you. Oh my God.
That is the most
There is-
frustrating
there is
argument I've ever heard in my life.
There is an art to using the timeout.
I know that. I look. When I coached and I used timeouts, I thought I'd learned the art until the next time I called one, and I figured out I didn't. So I'm not really sure there is an art. I mean, there was one time I called one. We were down 4-0 in the first period. I called a timeout with 4 minutes left in the first period after we'd surrendered 4 goals. I called a timeout, and I was absolutely bat crap crazy back then. So I was throwing stuff on the bench and breaking sticks and going like a lunatic. I was like a John Tortorella, like mini John Tortorella, and we ended up scoring 5 goals to win 5-4, and I thought I had it nailed until the next game when I screwed it up. So I'm not sure there really is an art to it.
But it is extremely hard. I would have called it extremely early into this Vancouver game when they went behind and saw they were playing exactly how they were playing in Edmonton.
You know what? I've never understood this argument. I do agree with you, Shane, but this is just devil's advocate now. I never understood. They have TV timeouts, they're the equivalent of a regular timeout. So what the hell's going on? They have like 3
actually,
timeouts.
longer.
Because the timeout isn't just a rest. Calling a timeout sends a message to your team that, hey, wake up because you're getting
Okay.
walked all over.
Okay, so then let me better your argument and say it's not that he doesn't have good timing. It's just that he doesn't have enough fire in his belly when it needs to happen.
I won't say that. Let me tell you, he's been critical the past 2 days in the post game, which he never is. He's the first he's a player's coach. He is
Absolutely.
the first one to defend his players, and he was critical the last 2 games, and I give him a lot of credit for that.
But it's late.
As for the timeout points, I will say the people who complain that he leaves it up to his centers, I have turned to my players and said, listen, do you need it or are you fresh? We had a 5-on-3 power play. I had my top 5 guys out there. They were out there for the first 45 seconds of the 5-on-4.
Mm-hmm.
And we were down 2, so I didn't want to waste it if we scored.
But Chad here makes a good point, and Chad's been a long-time listener, and we thank you, Chad, for your unending support. He makes a very valid point here. Cappy likes to wait for the TV timeout. That's been proven. And Cappy has also said to us in the media that he basically lets his centers know whether he needs a timeout after, let's say, an icing, or they've been out for a long, extended period of time. So, as Rich just said, and as Chad just backed him up on as well, the 3 TV timeouts per period, those are actually longer than regular timeouts. They're longer than 30
like
seconds.
a minute and a half.
So there's plenty of time for the team to regroup and talk strategy during those TV timeouts. So
you see, but it's not the strategy. It's the message that when you're playing terrible, your coach calling a timeout sends a message more. And I know we all hate them, but look at the '94 Rangers.
I don't want to talk about them.
Listen, called the timeout. Didn't even say a word. There was no strategy talk because there wasn't a word said. Changed the entire
Again, that's
flow of the game.
What percentage of that is going to actually? That's going to be what? Maybe
very rare.
1 time out of 10 that happens.
And you're talking about Stanley Cup championship players on a team that was assembled to do just that. I mean,
well, you're talking about the Edmonton Oilers there.
Yeah, the New York Oilers.
This is what Rich was saying before. What do you expect out of this team? If anyone's sitting here expecting this team to be in the Stanley Cup Finals, now I know that I've been a proponent of anything can happen. You can get lightning in a bottle. Yeah. If Halak gets November hot in April, it's going to be trouble. I get all that, but if anyone's sitting here logically saying that the New York Islanders are a Stanley Cup team at this point, that to me, in all honesty, is a stretch.
Anything that could happen in this Eastern Conference, because the Eastern Conference is
still a stretch.
Wide open.
It's still a stretch.
You want to know what I expect from them, Andy? Completely honest.
I know.
Completely honest. I expected the Edmonton loss. Because this is a team that is not used to trap games. They don't know how to play trap games because they've always been the trap team.
True.
They've never. But what I didn't expect was a repeat performance. What I expected from the Islanders after what we've seen all year was them to come out on fire last night.
That's fair. But you give no credit to Vancouver for that.
I refuse to because we handed them 2 of those goals.
But you see, this is what I going back to what I wrote. Shane, this is just devil's advocate again. I hear you, but what I'm saying is, we're going to take away the fact that Vancouver readjusted their entire top line to address the Islanders. I think they pulled all stops last night to beat the Islanders. They wanted
and we still had to hand them to game to win. So yes,
it's not handing it in. Listen, if Hickey would have given me that puck as a Canuck, I probably would have freaking just I would have missed.
we handed them that game last night.
I scored, Rich.
I'm not being negative because we're 11-26. I'm being negative because I'm upset about how we just lost.
I understand.
And my third and final thing about Capuano, and this is the same problem I have as a coach, and it's a joint problem between Tavares and Capuano. And it's Capuano has to put his foot down and control his best player. And I have the same problem when I coach, and I have one player who is quote-unquote my Tavares. Obviously, the comparison is unmakeable, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
And he gets in his head some points during the game that he has to do it, and he just doesn't come off. And there are too many times, and I do have to start tracking shifts. But everyone on Twitter last night was complaining that Martin was out there for a shift with Okposo and Tavares. When he wasn't, it's just that Grabner got off 40 seconds ago, and Tavares and Okposo were still out there for some God knows reason.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
It was when Martin should have scored because they put it on the stick in front of the net.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the line. It's just that Tavares and Okposo just didn't get off.
They didn't get off the line. Mm-hmm. They didn't get off the ice.
That is on coaching. And I blame myself. When my player does that, I put it on myself because I don't have full control of him in that game. Because there has to be more. As much as he is our hands-down best player, John Tavares, he is our superstar. There has to be more accountability for when he does stuff like that. And there is none because I think Capuano's afraid.
As far as we know. As far as we know, there isn't any.
As far as we know in the public eye.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because Tavares is and he's gotten better. The last couple of games have been much better than he was in the beginning of the season. But he's still trying to put this team on his back when he no longer has to, and I think it's hurting him more than helping him.
It's a double-edged sword, Shane, because there are a lot of times that we all are guilty of saying this is the time where JT should step up. This is the time where our captain should take this game by the throat. When he does and when he doesn't do that, it's such a thin line that it's almost, it's an arbitrary thing to say.
Yeah, it's not fair to say.
I mean, let's put it this way. Yesterday had nothing to do with the offense. It had to do with the defense's collapses, and that you've agreed to on and off the air.
Although the offense did absolutely nothing to help the defense in the defensive zone either.
Well, the back checking's always been an issue. That's not a surprise.
That's right.
And it wasn't even the back checking. There were times where the defenseman would throw the puck up the boards to where their winger should have been, and he was just in la-la land.
There's regression, and the regression is definitely rampant. And I'm surprised about Kulemin. Kulemin's dropped off the face of the earth. I always keep an eye on him because he's one of my favorite Islanders now, and he's still doing his back checking, but he's kind of lost all sense of I guess attack.
I don't think Kulemin was ever supposed to be an offensive player for us. Though.
Yeah,
Kulemin plays his role perfectly.
But come on, I mean, 15 to 18 goals would be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the same thing can be said about Grabovski, Grabner, Bailey.
Well, secondary scoring has fallen off the map, right? You got Tavares at 17, Nelson at 15. You don't have another guy that's got 10. You got Leas right there at 9. You got Okposo at 8, Nielsen at 8. The secondary scoring, which was so prevalent during this run, has really tailed off.
So let me throw this out to you, and you guys. I'm gonna hit you with this, and you guys feed me with feedback, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know we will.
Tavares, Nelson, Grabovski.
Hate it.
Nope.
Strome, Lee, Okposo.
Hate
nope.
it.
Really? Kulemin, Nielsen, Grabner.
Nope.
Hate it.
And then the fourth line stays the same because that line shouldn't be touched. They were our best line night in and night out.
They are.
I'm gonna say something, and I love the guy. Oh my God, I don't even want to say this, but I'm gonna say it, and you guys can rip me apart. Every time Grabner comes back into the lineup, the Islanders have regression.
He's been back for one game, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Seriously?
I refuse to say.
Seriously with that?
I really wanted to go on Twitter and bash Grabner just because everybody's been bashing Bailey. Just so the people bashing Bailey could see what it looks like.
Bailey, I had someone tell me today that Matt Donovan was -3 last night. Yeah, A, I know that, and B, so was Brock Nelson and Thomas Hickey. So maybe we
Don't
should
talk
just
about
bench,
Brock Nelson like that.
maybe we should just bench all three.
Listen.
It's all Thomas Hickey's fault that Brock Nelson threw that puck behind the net.
The person tried saying, "Well, Donovan's been bad all year." Really? I don't know. The previous 8 games were pretty darn good. 3 assists plus 5.
You know whose fault it was that Brock Nelson passed that puck behind the net to the Canuck?
Exactly right.
Josh Bailey.
Well, it was Matt Donovan's, Jack Capuano's, and Josh Bailey's.
It was Obama.
No, but
Basically. It was
honestly,
Obama's
I think it's time. I think it's time for Okposo to be taken off of JT's wing. I think it's time to shake things up that much.
I'm surprised, Shane. Hold on. I'm surprised you haven't.
Just real quick, Chad, you want to fly into JFK?
Yeah, definitely JFK.
Oh, definitely JFK. Oh, is that the question about where to go if you're flying?
Definitely
Yeah, he's
JFK.
looking to fly in for an Islanders game. You definitely
you-
want to fly into
yeah,
JFK.
you-
JFK is only about 15 miles from the Coliseum.
You take the Northern State all the way to exit 22N, and then you're right there at the Coliseum. You're like,
And I
bada
really
bing, bada
want to
boom.
thank Al for taking my side on this about JT overstaying his ship.
no, but we don't. I didn't disagree with you. We're on the same
But,
side.
Right. I mean, what are
But
you
I-
calling this out for?
I
Agreeing
do
with you?
very much think it's
A lot of bad
time.
passes too.
But I do think and I think part of Tavares' bad passes are Okposo, because if you watch last year and the year like before he got hurt last year and the year before, where he puck to nobody was where Okposo was 2 years ago. Watch it. Watch the games from 2 years ago. Watch highlights from 2 years ago. And when Tavares does that pull up and throw the puck to nobody, he was throwing it to where Okposo was flying into the zone. Now he's pulling up and throwing it to nobody, and there's no one there to get it.
Right. Right.
Shane, a long time ago, a long time ago.
That sounded argumentative right off the bat.
I was waiting for it.
Shane, how come you're not clamoring at the fact that Grabner's up top, man? You hated that a long time ago when I first met you. That was the first thing you said you never wanted to see in your life. I never wanted to see.
Well, did you hear what my first line should have been? My first line was Grabowski, Tavares, and Nelson. Grabner does not belong in the top 6 of an NHL team. Does he belong on the Islanders?
Oh my
Yes.
God.
He's better than Josh Bailey right now. I love Josh Bailey. Grabner should be on the 3rd line right now.
Guy was a 34 goal rookie scorer, dude. So
And then what? And how many of those 34 goals were because he's got insane speed and went on a breakaway?
Okay, all right. So then Chuck Knobloch didn't belong on the Yankees either because he was an all-star to having the yips, right?
No, he didn't. No, listen to me.
Stupid.
The only thing Grabner does on the first line is open the ice up for Tavares.
Oh, that's it. Oh, that's all. That's all. That's nothing. That means nothing.
Come on, Andy. You use the eye test. He's not good enough in the offensive zone to benefit Tavares or Okposo in just about any way. Through the neutral zone, there's no one better to be on that line than Grabner. Past the offensive blue line, and I could think of 4 people on the team I'd rather have on the line right off the bat.
Yeesh.
Yeesh is right.
If Grabner had half the hockey IQ of Strome and a quarter of his hands, I'd say fine, keep him there.
Look,
But he has
honestly,
neither.
At the end of the day, what bothers me, and I'm gonna say this too, you know, the Islanders had 2 lines really going, and that's the 4th line, which I think's been going all season. And to Shane,
They've been our best line consistently.
Probably the best consistent line, night in, night out, shift in, shift out. That kid line, the SNL line, was just absolutely working.
And I'm very upset.
I don't know why they decided to break that up. I think you got to go back. You kind of have to go back to that SNL line.
Yep.
Go back to Nielsen, Grabowski, and Kuhlman.
Yeah.
That's where I disagree.
Leave Grabner on that first line from now. Look, you gave Josh Bailey a 10-game audition. Give Grabner his due.
Yeah, agreed.
His due audition.
But the only person they haven't given an audition to yet is the one who scored a very pretty goal last night. He's the only one
Matt Martin.
He's the only one
Matt
that deserves a shot that hasn't gotten it yet.
Matt Martin.
Wait, hold on. You're saying to break up the only line that has been consistent since day
Right.
one?
Which line?
The fourth.
No,
line?
I'm trying. No, I mean Grabowski.
Oh, but you said Matt. I thought we said Matt Martin. You agreed. Wait.
No, I didn't agree. I was ignoring Andy because he was being an idiot.
Why do you, now? What gives you any? All right, Mikhail Grabowski admittedly has slumped offensively. His chemistry with Nikolai Kulemin has not returned. He's got 6 goals in 37 games on only 57 shots. What gives you any confidence that he would be any different than, let's say, Corey Conacher up there?
Because he has the proven talent and a shakeup. And you put me or you with John Tavares.
No, I'd still stink in the NHL.
Oh no, I would be horrendous.
I was a really good amateur. I was a really good amateur player, but I'd stink in the NHL.
No, but what I'm saying is he has the proven skill. Nielsen is not the playmaker that John Tavares is. I love Franz Nielsen, but he's not John Tavares. You have someone slumping with the skill of Grabowski, you put him there and he will score and the monkey will come off his back.
All right, so then you go Nielsen, Kulemin, and Grabner.
And I think that is a fantastic line because Grabner is a threat at the blue line to grab that D to D pass.
Okay. Yep.
And Nielsen and Kulemin are 2 hands down best defensive forwards.
Okay, so wait. Reiterate for our listeners. You want JT?
Okay, no. So you know what? If Grabowski goes up there, I'll submit. I'll compromise and I'll leave Okposo there for now. I'll go Okposo, Tavares, Grabowski.
Good.
Then our second line, is the kid line, Lee, Nelson, Strome.
Okay, good.
Our third line is Grabner, Nielsen, and Kulemin.
Okay.
And our fourth line remains untouched because they're our best consistent.
I could buy that.
Okay.
Al Peon comes up with a good comparison. He compares Grabner to Mikko Makela. That's actually pretty good.
It is. I love that.
I love it.
I miss Mikko, man.
That's pretty good, Meek. That's a pretty good comparison. Now, and Al's other point, which is pretty good too, is the coaching in games where the team is not playing to its best needs to step up and remind the players of what to do. Now, the only problem I have with that statement, Al, is, and again, this is coming from me and my 13 years of coaching, if I have to tell an experienced player on my team how to play, I really don't want him on my team, to be honest. All my job is to get them motivated pregame, set up a system that I think will work, that plays to their strengths, and then they have to go out there and play it. If they're not up to that task, it kind of depends on the age group I'm coaching. Like when I was coaching my 8 to 12-year-olds, I would kind of get a little more loud and animated with them because I knew it got through. Whereas when I started coaching the older kids, that kind of doesn't work so much. So now you're talking about a 28-year-old millionaire. You know what? If he doesn't know how to play the game at this point, he probably shouldn't be on the team.
I don't think he means how, as in how to play. I think he means like.
No, I think he's right. I think he's saying motivation.
Sleeping.
I shouldn't have to give a guy who's in the NHL at 28 making, or even 25, that's making $5 million. I shouldn't have to give that guy that freaking $5 million paycheck. Should be motivation enough. You go out there and you do your damn job. And if you don't, you know what?
Let me ask you though, Andy. When as a coach, have you ever walked in your locker room, walked out, and said to your assistants, "We're losing tonight"? I'm not being
actually,
a jerk.
I've said a little sterner than that, but
you know what I'm saying. You walk in the locker room and you just get that vibe, and you walk out and you're like, no matter what I do tonight, this game's over.
Yeah, they're not ready. They're not ready,
right.
and everything that I tried to get them ready is not going to get them ready.
Exactly, but.
The way I can go in there and bend them over my knee, and I can, smack them in the head with a stick. I can go in there and give them the Newt Rockney speech, win one for the Gipper, and I can go in there and lie and say my dad's got an incurable disease and he's going to pass away any second, and I'm still here coaching you kids, so win one for me. And you just know that the team is mentally not there, and
no matter what you say, it's not going to work.
You kind of hope that they could just play their way out of it as players, and that's just my opinion, but. Not really much I could say in that situation.
Okay, can we shift gears? I know I'm not the director here, but let's just shift gears just for a moment and address the fact that the Islanders are now back here on the East Coast, ready to face Devils, and they have an opportunity to turn.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We come out of this 2-game slump to play a team whose star player just hit 1,000 points. They're hitting a stride. They got 3 new coaches. That's just who we should play coming out of a 2-game.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I'd rather have come back and played the Rangers on Friday night because I think.
Listen. This is good. I'm going to tell you why. it's a win-win for us because if they end up losing against the Devils, I mean, they have the Ranger game coming up. That's always a momentum shifter.
Well, we play the Rangers twice because we play Columbus on Saturday, which is pretty much the Rangers.
Listen, guys, there's nothing to worry about. I mean, we can call it out all we want. We can say this is what's wrong. Look,
It
enjoy
might be something to worry about next week, but right now,
Well, right now we're fine. Yeah, because the Rangers, you know what? We're worrying. Yes, we are worrying what we have to worry about. But there are, the Rangers are on a tear, and they're gonna catch up. And I'm not surprised. They're quietly going about their business. And
by the way, the Capitals won again tonight, making them 11-1-2 in their last
13.
So.
It's getting interesting. This is exactly what you wanted, everyone, right? You wanted drama? There's your drama.
Listen,
Shakespearean.
I couldn't really.
I'm sorry,
be on
11-1-3 in their last 15.
Yeah.
I couldn't really be on Twitter today because I was at work. Did anybody notice that? Did the Islanders skate today or no?
They did not. They flew home today.
Okay, because I just wanted to know what the lines are going to look like in practice tomorrow.
They flew home today. They'll skate tomorrow, and they'll skate Friday in the pregame skate before the Devil game.
Yeah. I'm really hoping we see Grabowski get his shot up there. I know that they gave Bailey the 10 games, so they should do the same for Grabner. But is this really the time to be experimenting?
Yeah,
I think Grabowski deserves a shot up there. I don't think he's necessarily earned it, and I think it is a little upsetting because it's kind of like rewarding someone for not performing. But I think if you give him a shot, I think you'll see him turn around.
At the end of the day, these players have to take personal responsibility in their game. Now, we kept hearing from Kyle Oposo that this is not the same team. This is not the same team. This is not the same team. We're a different bunch in here. We're a more confident bunch. We know what we have to do. We'll find out, Friday night if they know what they have to do. But at the end of the story, at the end of the day, they just need to, they need to be more careful with the puck. They need to not turn the puck over. They need to
it's the bad
play sound in the neutral zone. They need to forwards have to. It's just getting back to basic hockey, right? Possess the puck, limit your neutral zone turnovers. Forwards have to back check just as vigorously as they forecheck. If they get back to those basics, everything will be fine. And at the end of the day, these guys at this point should know that. They just have to go out and execute it.
Okay.
It's the bad turnovers that have me concerned, and not much else.
And they should. I agree.
Well, I
agree, and that's been a problem for everybody the last couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
They should have. Look, they should have never. They still, even with blowing the 4 3-goal leads in December, still finished at 8-4-1 for the month. They still have so many points in the bank that I saw today on Sport Club Stats that if the Islanders were to go 500 for the remaining 42 games of the season, and go an NHL 500, they would still have an 81% chance of making the playoffs. Now, that's not the way you want to go in. I get it, but this is why I kept saying all those points they put in the bank early were for this type of regression that was bound to happen.
Absolutely. And the most important thing of all, Andy, to your point, is the overtime wins. That, for me, is the difference maker this season. More so than any other thing I can think of is the fact that they did not let those points get away from them. They would have added up.
Points, right.
Those bonus points would have added up to a big problem. And I think the bonus points would have put them in fourth place, tied with the Rangers, or even a bit below in the Metro. It's definitely those points.
And
you're right, Al. Being good does have its issues.
I was just going to say, and I agree with Al 100%.
It's never
and
easy.
This is a fan base that's not used to that, especially the younger fan base.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean,
by the way, Patrice Bergeron just scored. It's 2-1 Boston over Pittsburgh at the end of 2 as we're at the point now where we're scoreboard watching.
No, it's way too early for that. Don't give me that.
Some Bridgeport news, Ryan Pulak was sent back to Long Island to be evaluated per Michael Fornabeo, who reports on the Sound Tigers
that's not good.
For the Connecticut News. We will not hear anything yet until the results come back from that.
Evaluated for what?
He got
upper body injury.
Oh, man.
Griffin Reinhardt, who sat out Sunday after taking a shot off the shin, has practiced the last 2 days, so he seems fine.
All right.
But another thing that Al says in the questions and answers over here is that Grabowski can fly, can possess the puck, and loves to shoot, which is another reason why I think he should be up there with them.
The last time he made a
line, that'd be a really bad defensive line.
Oh my! But it's awful. It's awful to begin with. No matter who you put there, it's a terrible defensive line. I'm sorry, but John Tavares is has at times this year been almost as bad as the disconnected controller Ovechkin.
Yeah, I mean, there was one game where I was up in the press box sitting next to Christian Arnold, and we probably spent the first 2 periods just pointing out a couple of Tavares's defensive deficiencies, let's call it, over the course of that game. And yeah, he has been. But then again, that's not what you're paying him to do. So, I mean, again, there's 2 sides to that argument as well. A, that's not what you're paying him to do, or B, he's the captain and he should be doing whatever it takes for the team to win. So
it's getting a little late here, but before we do 3 stars and wrap up, there is one more thing I want to say about Tavares, and this is not his fault. This is something the rest of the team is at fault for, and another reason I think Grabovski could be on that line, and that is Tavares looks like that kid when you're in like youth hockey or high school, and there's that one really good standout kid on the team, and the other 4 kids on the ice at any moment defer to him and just say, you know what, let him do it. And this is something that shouldn't happen at the NHL level, but I've noticed it more than once this year, where the rest of the team just defers to Tavares, and he looks like the kid who's the best kid on the ice, but has to do it all himself because the rest of his team just defer to him. And I think Grabovski is not going to do that. Grabovski's not the kind of player who's going to say, you know what, you're better than me, go. He's going to be the guy who's going to say, you know what, you're better than me or just as good as me. Let me get there so you can give me the puck because I want to score. But too many times I've seen players like Conacher, like Okposo, which surprises me because I don't see Okposo being this kind of player, like Bailey, and I can't judge Grabner yet because Grabner only played 1 game there. But any of the defensemen on the ice with him, you know, the only player that I could say consistently doesn't look like he's deferring to Tavares is Nelson on the power play. Other than that, it looks like everybody on the ice at any given moment just defers the puck and the game to Tavares. And you're not going to be successful like that at the NHL level, which is why you usually don't see that at this level.
Okay, that's my homework assignment. I'm going to take a look at that and see how that, like, for the next week. Let's bring this up again.
Because it almost looks like a high school game where the team just says, you know what, Johnny's our best player, give him the puck and hope for the best.
All right, we'll take a look at that next week. We'll take notes and we'll compare.
And I really don't think Grabovski would do that. I think Grabovski's not. I don't use ego in a bad way here. I use it in a good way. But I think Grabovski's ego and confidence will allow him to go out there and be at his best alongside Johnny's best.
He's deliberate. He's a much more deliberate player than
I say Johnny, like we're best friends. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're saying that Grabovski is more deliberate than, let's say, Kuhlman up there.
Andy's very quiet. That either means he disagrees with me or he agrees with me vehemently and doesn't want to add to it.
I'm not saying nothing.
Because you agree with me?
I'm not saying nothing. Taking the high road on this one.
All right, so you agree.
I plead the 5th.
All right, so you agree.
The 5th.
All right, so let's move on to my favorite segment of the show lately, and that is 3 stars.
Tree stars. The tree
stars.
3 stars. It's the 3 stars of the game. Let's start with Andy. Andy, star number 3 for the past week. Well, 2 weeks since we didn't do a show.
Star number 3 over the past 2 weeks. I think that Johnny Boychuk has come back, a stabilizing force on the defense. Good to see him healthy again. And I know he's still playing with a couple of bumps and bruises, but good to have him back.
All right, Rich?
3 stars. Third
star.
My third star would be Franz Nielsen. Just that beautiful goal that he scored. I believe it was against Calgary. Just a drop pass to Strome back to Nielsen. Beautiful goal.
All right, my third star is Nick Leddy because he is just consistently our best defense. You can't say anything bad about Leddy, and I agree with Boychuk, Andy, but I've got to give the nod to Leddy here. So what about number 2, Andy?
My number 2 star, I think that, not that he's going to make people forget, and you don't need a writer in terms of maybe scoring, but Cal Clutterbuck has been, I think, everything we've wanted him to be since he came here in that trade. I think
Good call.
He's provided so much on that 4th line and then made it probably one of the best 4th lines and arguably one of the best 4th lines in the league.
Rich, you're number 2.
Matt Martin. Because he's hitting everything he sees. He's doing what he has to do as a 4th liner. Yeah, he maybe coughs up a goal here and there, but he does score on occasion. but he's doing exactly what he's paid for. And to complement what Andy just said, that fourth line's doing their job. They are doing their job, game in, game out.
And my number 2 is Halak. Even though he had an awful turnover and a pretty overall poor game against Edmonton, he's still been night in and night out our best player. Andy, number 1 star for the past 2 weeks.
Ryan Strome, seen him grow up right before our eyes. 4th on the team in scoring, 1st on the team in plus minus. This kid is just really taking the league by storm this year, and he's getting better and better each and every game out.
Rich?
Ryan Strome. Absolutely. Exactly what I wanted out of him. Fantastic hockey player. Exciting to see. Maturing right with every game. He takes his bumps and bruises like everyone else, and he's laying the body. He's getting more physical. Very happy with Ryan Strome. Definitely my first star.
The unanimous number 1 star for the past 2 weeks is Ryan Strome.
Yeah, all right.
There is no one else who deserves it above Ryan. Ryan has been our best forward, hands down. And can I just say that he sees the ice better than I think he sees the ice better than Tavares. Yeah. I think his hockey IQ is extremely high, and he consistently makes the right play.
Did you see that goal? Did you see that Calgary goal? Nielsen's coming down the left wing.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
He drops to that goal isn't made a season ago, 2 seasons ago. It won't be made. I can't think of another set of players that can make that goal in this franchise. You have to go back to like the early 80s. It's that beautiful a goal. Precision.
Trent Hunter and Aaron Asham. No.
Okay. No.
No. There was a thing of beauty though. That goal was very pretty.
Vicious goal.
All right. I think that just about does it for us tonight, guys.
It does.
Pretty good. We're just about at the hour mark. We hit it. We're at 51. We hit it pretty solid.
Well, I think that before we head out, I'd like to just address just for a moment the events that occurred earlier today in Paris and France, and just because we're in the media business, right? Because we are people with opinions that either are agreed upon or, I'd say, fought against. The mere fact that we can exchange ideas peacefully and that we are friends at the end of the day, that isn't an American right. That is an American privilege. That's a human right, a human privilege, if you will. That's something that we should all aspire to be and aspire to have in our lives. So be it hockey or history, pucks or politics, the freedom of speech is a basic human right, especially antagonistic speech. So my prayers and my thoughts are to the country and to the families of the victims, because if we can't say what we think, then there's no point in being a human being.
Well said, Rich. I just want to give a little, hate to end the show on a somber note, but as everybody knows, ESPN lost Stuart Scott at the age of 49 to cancer the other day. Our deepest condolences go out to his daughters, his wife, his ex-wife, his family, the whole family at ESPN. We may not always agree on their hockey coverage, but it's no doubt a huge loss in the sports broadcasting community. Stuart really set out and created his own niche and kind of did things his own way and not the way the corporate suits wanted him to do it. And that'll be something that I'll always remember him for, that and his speech at the ESPYs, which was probably one of the most powerful, inspiring speeches I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
And also our prayers and condolences to the entire Parise family. Ex-Islander J.P. Parise is in the final stages of stage 4 lung cancer, not doing well. He's in hospice care at the present time. Zach Parise has left the Minnesota Wild to be with his father. Obviously, his head just cannot be in the game at this point. So our sincere condolences to the entire hockey family and Parise family specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to play the ESPY speech as we got out of the show.
That's your failure as a podcast director, yet again.
No, I have it, but it's owned by ESPN, and they're owned by ABC, which likes to sue people.
And we don't like to get sued.
So I'm just going to let everybody know that my intention was to play it, but...
Well, if you want to head to IslandersInsight.com, on the right-hand sidebar in our section called The Locker, I did provide a link a quick story on Stewart and a link to that speech, so you can go watch it there.
Because it is one of the most powerful speeches I've heard.
Unbelievable. I remember watching it and actually tearing up. It was just that powerful.
Yeah, and it's and the theme of it is it's not about losing a battle to cancer, but it's how you live with it and how you persevere and how you inspire others. Guys, what we do is downright fun, and we take for granted. I don't know if we take it for granted, but let's just say that we do, for lack of a better term, the ability to do so, right? The ability to converse openly and proudly about our own ideas about hockey or what have you. So I thank you, Shane, for always giving us this platform, right? You're our podcast director, and I thank you so much for always giving us a voice, a true voice to the fans, and it, this is a blast, and it's the privilege, the right, whatever you want to call it, to speak your mind. It's definitely something worth fighting for. So definitely. Let's keep our heads in the game and let's pray for these families and let's hope it does not happen again.
Ditto.
I think it puts the 2-game losing streak into perspective.
Sure does.
Yes, that does.
And with that, I'm going to forego the outro music today out of respect for both families and for everything that happened in France. So with that will end this week's Dump and Chase podcast. And until next week, guys. It feels weird saying this after how we ended it, but let's go out.